Look closely. Look beyond the surface you show to the world, beyond the mask of independence, beyond the bravado of control. There is a mirror you avoid, a reflection you fear, because deep down you know that the trajectory of your life is not fully yours, that the traits you promised yourself you'd escape, the habits you swore you'd never inherit, the failures you swore you'd never repeat, they are quietly, inexorably creeping into your skin, your thoughts, your decisions. And the most terrifying truth is this: you are becoming them. You see, fear is not abstract. Fear is tangible. It whispers in the quiet moments of reflection, latching onto your doubts. You feel it in the pull of inertia, in the subtle repetition of patterns, in the sighs you thought were yours alone. Every anger you inherit, every insecurity you harbor, every compromise you make under the guise of practicality is a seed planted by the lives you grew up observing. And some of these seeds are sprouting. You are walking a path that was carved before you even knew it existed. Ask yourself, when you snap at the ones you love, when you shrink from risk, when you repeat the same mistakes disguised as personal choices, who is really at the wheel? Is it you, or is it the echo of a voice from your childhood? The blueprint of habits and fears handed down like a cursed inheritance. You were told that you are different, that you can rise above, that you can break the cycle. And yet, here you are, unconsciously practicing the very behaviors you swore you'd never accept in yourself. There is a cruel poetry to this. We are taught to fear failure, to fear weakness, to fear becoming what we despise. But rarely are we warned of the insidious danger of quiet repetition, of unconscious mimicry, of the inherited scripts etched into our psyche. Because the truth is brutal. Your deepest fear, the fear that you are not evolving, not rising, not transcending, is accurate. You are becoming them. And, perhaps worse, you might not even notice until it is too late. Consider the subtleties, the impatience creeping into your interactions, the cynicism you thought was yours alone, the same excuses that once suffocated your parents now suffocating you. You pride yourself on independence, yet you replicate the very compromises you swore you'd reject. You laugh at their failures, yet you harbor the same blind spots, the same unspoken regrets, the same quiet despair. The mirror does not lie, and it does not forgive. Ask yourself, how many moments have you justified behavior by saying, "I am not like them"? And how many moments, in the same breath, do you find yourself thinking, speaking, acting in ways indistinguishable from the people you feared becoming? The realization is not comforting. It is not instructive. It is not something you can reason away with philosophy or motivational platitudes. It is a confrontation with the most private and terrifying part of existence. That legacy is unavoidable, and awareness alone does not prevent it. The cruelest part is this: the transition is almost invisible. It does not announce itself with fanfare. It creeps in through the mundane. The way you hold your mouth when you scold, the tone in your voice when impatience wins, the way your promises to yourself erode under pressure. It is not dramatic. It is banal. And that is the genius of it. Transformation through fear is silent, gradual, unstoppable. Until one day, you wake up and realize the worst has already arrived. Ask yourself, Do you recognize your own behaviors in your parents' reflections? Do you see the shadow of their unresolved fears in your choices, in your reactions, in the compromises you claim are uniquely yours? You tell yourself, "I am different," yet the evidence mounts quietly. Every repeat and mistake, every mimicked habit, every unexamined reaction is a brick in the wall that connects you to them. And no amount of denial, no amount of self-persuasion will erase it. The descent continues. Awareness does not equal escape. Recognition does not equal immunity. Some patterns are stronger than willpower. Some tendencies are so deeply rooted they predate conscious thought. They are etched into your limbic system, embedded in your instinctual responses, carried in the rhythm of your emotions. You can fight, resist, strive, but the echoes remain. And the question that pierces deeper than any philosophical musing is simple. Will you surrender to them, or will you confront the inheritance of your own design before it is too late? Ask yourself now, how many compromises have you made silently, believing them to be rational, logical, adult decisions? How many fears have you carried, believing them to be uniquely yours, only to find that they are rehearsed roles, lines memorized from observation, handed down like scripts you never auditioned for but are compelled to perform? There is no dramatic revelation, no lightning bolt of awareness that changes the trajectory. There is only subtle, accumulating confirmation that your deepest dread is manifesting in real time. And yet, there is a sliver of power hidden in the horror: recognition. To see the blueprint, to trace the habits, to confront the inherited fears, that is the threshold of choice. It does not guarantee salvation, nor does it erase the patterns, but it grants the clarity to intervene, to break the unconscious repetition, to begin the process of becoming consciously, intentionally rather than by default. The confrontation itself is brutal, psychologically piercing, and necessary. Ask yourself, are you ready to look into that mirror without flinching? Are you willing to see the fragments of your parents in yourself, the impatience, the cynicism, the quiet compromises, and refuse to let them dictate the rest of your life? This is not self-help. This is an existential reckoning. The most terrifying truth is simple. Awareness alone cannot prevent repetition. Action is required. Courage is required. Brutal honesty is required. The descent is not optional. The confrontation is not optional. And if you refuse to meet the reflection, if you continue to flinch, to distract, to justify, to deny, then the script writes itself, inevitability in motion. You fear becoming them, but fear alone does not change course. Only deliberate, conscious confrontation, acknowledgement, and painstaking self-examination can disrupt the pattern. Because here is the truth you have been avoiding. Your deepest fear is not a distant possibility. It is not a cautionary tale. It is happening now. Every unexamined action, every repeated pattern, every internalized habit is a step closer to the life, the personality, the compromises of those you swore you'd never become. You are inheriting them. You are practicing them. And unless you intervene consciously, the mirror will reflect not just who they were, but who you have allowed yourself to become. The mirror is relentless. It does not pause for contemplation. It does not offer consolation, it simply reflects. Every whispered doubt, every silent compromise, every inherited flaw is illuminated in stark clarity. You may try to rationalize, to distance yourself, to construct the comforting narrative that you are different, that your awareness alone shields you. But awareness is merely the first step. It does not absolve, it does not transform. It is a spotlight, exposing the subtle contagion of traits you thought immune to, the creeping replication of fears you swore you'd leave behind. Think about your laughter, the tone, the timing, the habitual phrases that once belonged to someone else. They are stitched into the fabric of your speech, sewn so tightly into your identity that you may call them your own. But they are borrowed, trained, inherit, fed. And every day, in moments small and imperceptible, you perform them unconsciously, as though rehearsing a life you never chose, echoing scripts from the past. Ask yourself, how often have you acted out of fear disguised as reason, as maturity, as responsibility? The irony is cruel. Your actions, meant to distinguish you from your parents, only reinforce the patterns. You see their failings in the world, in headlines, in stories, and yet fail to recognize the subtle replication within yourself. The small compromises, the softened ideals, the whispered self-betrayals. They are more powerful than any dramatic mistake because they are invisible. They embed themselves in the marrow of your being. And the consequences are not theoretical. They manifest in relationships that strain under echoes of past dynamics, in choices that feel predetermined, in emotions that feel strangely familiar and yet unnerving. The life you feared, mediocre, anxious, regretful, is not merely a distant possibility. It is the gravity of your own making, reinforced by unconscious mimicry. Every repeated argument, every default reaction, every instinctual hesitation is a stitch in the tapestry of inevitability. Ask yourself, do you notice the reflection in the eyes of others? Do you catch yourself repeating phrases, tones, behaviors, the very patterns you once judged? Do you feel the suffocating weight of inevitability creeping in? The realization that escape is not a given but a choice that requires conscious, brutal effort. Recognition alone is not salvation. The mind, trained by observation and repetition, will always lean toward familiarity, toward the scripts it knows. And familiarity, terrifyingly, feels safe. But consider this: safety is an illusion. Comfort is a trap. The quiet replication of inherited fears, disguised as practical wisdom or learned caution, is a subtle form of self-erasure. Every compromise made unconsciously is a surrender to the blueprint of your predecessors. You may stand tall, you may speak with confidence, you may smile at the world, but within the architecture of fear, the edifice of past lives is quietly assembling itself, brick by brick, in your psyche. Ask yourself, can you break free? Or are you already too far embedded in the patterns? The path of awareness is narrow and unforgiving. It demands observation without flinching, honesty without excuse, courage without compromise. Every time you catch yourself mimicking an inherited flaw, every time you notice the echo of their fears in your own behavior, you are presented with a choice. And here lies the paradox. To confront the inheritance fully is to recognize that part of you has always been scripted, yet to resist it requires rewriting, brick by brick, habit by habit, thought by thought. The journey is grueling. It is not linear. It is not comfortable. There will be days when awareness feels like exposure, when self-confrontation becomes unbearable, when you question whether rebellion against inherited traits is even possible. But it is. It is possible, because within the same awareness that terrifies, there is the power to intervene, to observe, to adjust, to unlearn, to transform what is unconscious into what is deliberate, to reclaim choice from the subtle tyranny of inherited patterns. Ask yourself, who do you want to be when no one is watching? Who do you want to be when the scripts fade, when external expectations vanish, when only your own consciousness remains? The confrontation with inherited fear is not philosophical. It is operational. It is the mental and emotional labor of noticing, of interrupting, of redirecting. It is painful, but it is precise. It is the method by which the human spirit can reclaim agency from the gravitational pull of past generations. And yet, understand this, it is never complete. You will always carry fragments of what you feared. The instincts, the reflexes, the learned hesitations, they are part of you now. But power does not require purity. Power requires recognition, manipulation, and conscious management. You may never fully erase the echo, but you can choose the context, the response, the direction of that echo. You can decide which fragments become tools, which remain reminders, which are discarded into the void of conscious awareness. Ask yourself, when the cycle threatens to repeat, when the patterns loom large and familiar, will you surrender or intervene? Will you allow the inheritance to dictate your actions, or will you step outside the pre-written script and assert, with conscious authority, the life you intend to live? This is the battlefield of self-mastery. It is the psychological crucible where fear, awareness, and action collide. And so the descent reaches its final edge, awareness of inevitability, recognition of inherited fear, understanding of unconscious repetition. You are standing at the crossroads between surrender and conscious creation. The reflection in the mirror is no longer merely frightening, it is instructive. It is a challenge. It is a call to radical accountability, a demand for relentless self-examination, a test of whether you will allow fear to become determinism or transform it into conscious evolution. Because here is the ultimate truth. The fear of becoming your parents is not a prophecy. It is an invitation to intervene, to disrupt, to reclaim choice. It is the raw confrontation with the patterns that shape you, demanding that you act, that you take responsibility, that you rewrite the script where possible. And when you do, the inheritance becomes something different, not a chain, but a tool, not a shadow, but a lens, not a prison, but a foundation for conscious creation. Now, ask yourself one final time. Will you remain an echo, a repetition of patterns not fully examined? Or will you rise, deliberately, courageously, painfully aware, and assert your own agency? The reflection waits. It is merciless. It is true. And the choice, for once, is entirely yours. Take it. Own it. Transform it. Philospiral.